Hey, welcome to another episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Doing a beer I haven't had in quite a while. I used to drink this all the time back when I lived in Albany. This is called 𝗏𝗏 from westbrook Brewing Company. Rye Pale Ale, 5.5 ABV. They're out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. It's a rye pale ale, heavy handful of malted rye and scoops of our favorite hop varieties. This can is a little old, about 5 months old, going back to February. So I pour it into the IPA glass. And you can see, wow, I mean, not surprising, it's the rye makes it form a big, huge head. And it's got a kind of dark gold, light orange body, definitely some haze to it. By the way, I have the brewer's website up here. So this is funny. It says style American Pale Ale, Pale Ale. For hops, we got Citra, and its dry hop was a 𝗧𝗏 and Citra. So it's got pale, rye, and wheat for the malts, and American ale yeast. And that's pretty much it. All right, so let's give it a whiff. Yeah, I definitely get tropical on here. It does kind of have that New England IPA smell. I mean, it's mostly Citra hops, which wouldn't surprise me why you would get citrus. I would definitely call this like red grapefruit. Little pineapple. Has like a clean kind of fresh smell to it, I will say. I don't pick up the rye on the nose. Like usually I would get that right away. I mean, there's like just kind of a real faint hint of like a spice in the background, but I mean, otherwise it just kind of smells like a standard American pale ale or IPA. Actually, I would say it smells more like an IPA because it is quite hoppy. But this is only a pale ale. What was the IBUs? No, I forget. All right, let's dive in here. Cheers. Well, I will say it does taste like a pale ale because I actually taste the flavor of hops and not so much the bitterness. Although I would not say it's to the extent of like a juicy flavor like with so many of the hazy IPAs these days. Yeah, so up front, I would call it like a grapefruit kind of flavor, you know, pretty citrusy. I would definitely call it more citrusy than tropical, compared to like a standard West Coast IPA. So yeah, like grapefruit, a little bit of pineapple, maybe a little bit of peach in there, maybe some guava, something like that. Again, it is not the juice bomb of like so many of the modern hazy pale or hoppy beers of these days, let's say. I will say that rye is in there, but it's quite subtle. I think some of that might have to do with the age of the can. Again, this is 5 months and a week. Actually, almost 6 months old. That's about 5.5 months old. So I don't know. Maybe I think the rye has been. You know, I was reading some of my old Untapped reviews, and I always say that the rye was quite subtle. So I mean, it's just like adding this bonus kind of spicy flavor, and it adds like a little. There's a difference between the rye spice and like a hop bitterness. Although I will say, like a lot of the German like pilsners and some other German beers, those noble hops, they tend to impart a peppery rye kind of flavor to them. But this one is actually kind of cutting out it's not cutting out the middleman. It's adding a middleman by having rye in there instead of more hops. And it's funny because you wouldn't think that citrus and rye would work together, but they actually do quite well here. Yeah, so I mean, this is mostly citrusy. Bitterness is actually fairly low. I think actually a lot of the bitterness comes from the rye. It's just that spicy kind of peppery sensation. You know, I will say that while it's actually in my mouth on the tongue, it's actually quite refreshing. But it's not like I said, it's not to the extent of that juicy flavor like in so many hazy IPAs. And then as it finishes, like the hops and I think a little bit of that rye and that wheat linger. So I would say it's kind of like a hoppy, almost like hoppy kind of starchy aftertaste. Little peppery. Actually, and it makes me. It's funny because like while it's in the mouth, it's refreshing, but then once you swallow, then it's like the opposite, where it's like it's making me parched and it's making me thirsty and I need to take another swig. Actual mouthfeel is not too intense. I mean, it is only 5.5 ABV, kind of a table strength beer. Probably called like about medium body, maybe even medium light, and probably a moderately high carbonation. Fairly crisp. Although, I mean, the addition of the rye and the wheat does make the texture a little kind of creamy and soft. It is not like a lager where it's just like, clean, spastic effervescence or anything like that. I would not call it crisp. I mean, it's well carbonated. It's just not crisp. It's not the same thing. So, score for the Westbrook One Claw. This is good. I've had this one many times, but it's been a few years. I like it. This is a solid American Pale Ale. Just with that rye is a little bit of bonus. If I was scoring this to spec, I wouldn't go by Pale Ale. I would probably go by Spice or Vegetable because of the rye in there. But as far as what I'm going to give it on Untappd, it gives a solid 4 out of 5. Nice, solid, easily drinkable, but fully flavorful American Pale Ale. Just like that little bit of bonus of the rye, and also that it's like an actual pale ale, which seemed to be, except for like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, seems like it's hard to get a regular American Pale Ale in it these days. Everything is IPA. So yeah, I like it. So if you can find this one, check it out. Again, 4 out of 5 for the Westbrook One Claw. If you watch all the way in, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys for Tuesday Night Beer School. Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.